Welcome back, gentlemen. This is the official Intermat Wrestling podcast. So we're back to talking about wrestling as we're about to get ready for wrestling. I think we're like a week away from things taking off in Paris. So we should definitely dig into it. But before we even do, have you guys been watching a lot of the games? Have you kind of taken notice of any other sports that are happening? I was really impressed by the men's gymnastics team today that won bronze for won a medal for the first time since 2008 for the men's gymnastics team. So very impressed by them. And then obviously Simone Biles. But have you guys seen anybody that's like any other teams or watch any other sports as of yet?
I was watching water polo a little bit just to those
Catch a
guys are freak.
catch a glimpse of Flavor
That
Flav?
game's intense.
Those dudes are freaks, man. The way they tread water like that, people are trying to drown them. No way, I can't do that.
Or pass.
Respect to that.
Yeah.
So watched a little bit of the equestrian too, the cross country with the horses. My kid was into it, pointing at the horses and stuff. But that's about it. I haven't watched much, but I want to get into
Make
it
sure you
soon.
make sure you show him the hobby horses too and see if he likes that better.
Yeah, where they're dancing, right?
Yeah.
I saw a little
We
bit of
watched
the women's sevens rugby. That was intense, dude. Just stiff arms to the face, people getting thrown to the ground. It was awesome. I played a little
What's
bit of
that? What's
rugby.
that girl's name? Alona. She's a beast.
yeah,
Yeah.
she
Oh
was
She's
yeah.
that
an
was a
absolute
monstrous run.
beast. Yeah. Big fan of hers. I love how there was an article that came out that I was reading. It was just like something about how obviously a lot of these Olympic sports don't get a lot of play, specifically in the United States throughout the years, but like social media has really helped them really elevate things and like collect sponsors and do really cool stuff. And she was one of the top people that everybody's kind of clamoring about right now. I think she has over 1 million followers on Instagram now. So shout out to the rugby team. They're in the semis too. So
Go.
let's bring home some more medals. I think we're in the lead. USA is in the lead right now for medals. At least they were earlier today when I'd seen the medal count. So
It's generally a pretty comfortable margin for us in the summer games.
Mhm.
yeah. The other crazy video that I had seen is based on wrestling is how we're 5 medals away from breaking the Soviet Union's record, just like the actual Soviet Union before it was like Russia or these other countries. Like I don't remember what the medal count is. I'll share the video with you guys or something like that. But yeah, like they have it's been a very long time, obviously, since they made the record, but we win 5 golds and I believe we tie the record. 6 breaks it. So essentially we need 3 and 3 freestyle since is probably our better best bet of bringing home some golds and where we actually have, some favorites and things like that. Not to take anything away from Greco, but freestyle is definitely our better style. But yeah, 6 medals and we break a record that I believe is like 25 years old, something like that. So that was a really, really cool sign. It wasn't even like a wrestling person that posted this video that I had seen on Instagram. So it was a really cool thing. So
Nice.
hopefully we do our job and the men and women that we have in Paris do their job and bring home the golds that they're supposed to. Um, but let's jump in. Let's talk Greco first. Um, Mostly because, like I said, we don't have the favorites there. I think Adam Kuhn's the only guy that we have that is seated. What do you guys feel? And obviously, our medal chances aren't very high like they are in the other styles. But what do you guys think can happen with Greco, or what would you like to see happen with Greco? Obviously, medals, but what type of performances are you guys looking forward to seeing from our Greco guys that really help them kind of break out?
I want to see some arms raised. That's the biggest thing. I think we got a pretty good split of experience and youth. I mean, Adam Kuhn's kind of right there in the middle. Joseph Rouse, the wily veteran of the group,
Mhm.
and Kamal and Peyton are pretty younger talent. So we're seeing that kind of wave where we're getting the new generation in. So I'd like to see them, make some noise. I mean, it'd be amazing to see them on the podium, but at least getting a couple wins under their belt. I think could go a long way into kind of establishing where they're at and where we're at as a country with the youth of the program.
Yeah. They've really gone through it too. Not just Joe Rao, but like the Greco
Mhm.
program in and of itself has gone through it with new coaching and, losing a leader in Hancock and, Kamal getting in to
In
the
and out.
games. Like there's just like so much. It's like it's been such a roller coaster for Greco and so many guys that we expected to do well. Braxton Amos dislocating his shoulder again. So like there's just been such a roller coaster ride, but I would love to, obviously you want to see them do very well. And, you mentioned it. We have a very good mix of some veterans as well as some new blood. So hopefully they eventually break through and get to the medal stand. I mean, let's call it what it is. I would love to see each one of them have the favorite in the first round because it's either you beat the favorite and you are in better position or you lose to the favorite and you have a chance of a medal later on. So, I would love to see them get kind of bad draws, if you want to call it that. But like, I mean, I feel like in Greco, that's really the good draw, as Kamal said when I was talking to him, like getting the favorite, getting the number one seed, as much as it might suck, you go out there with nothing to lose and everything to gain, and anything can really truly happen. So hopefully they can kind of break through and make something happen.
Well, speaking of Kamal, that's what I was going to say. I mean, just having this second chance really to get into the games and to be able to compete and to follow through on that dream. I mean, that's what I'm really excited to see is how he's able to use this opportunity and where he's going to capitalize on that. Not to mention the fact that he's just super exciting anyway, and I like seeing people get thrown. So he
Yeah,
tends to do that a lot.
he does. He got a lot of TV time during the opening ceremonies.
He did.
it was, he was always on. I mean, the Greco guys in general, I mean, the wrestlers in general got a lot of TV time and Peyton Manning shouting out Mason Paris a couple of times. I saw that he
Yeah.
called him to talk to him beforehand and get kind of a background on him. But yeah, I mean, it was like every time they had a chance, Kamal was on TV during the opening ceremonies. So it was pretty cool to see that. Any other thoughts on Greco, or should we jump to the ladies?
I
Jump
think
to
one more thing is
Yeah.
this: if we can have Adam Kuhn win and kind of stand up for guys with this hairline worldwide, um, I would greatly appreciate that, and you know, full confidence that he can make that happen.
I know that basketball is not his sport, but did you guys see that video of him trying to dunk?
Yeah.
He was
Really
close.
I was really unhappy with the fact that he cannot dunk a basketball.
The fact that I'm closer to dunking than he is, and he's a solid foot taller than me, it's kind of
I
frustrating.
I was like, all right, like this is gonna happen. Like maybe that first chance where he tried it, he was kind of measuring it up, but then I was like, for sure this is gonna happen. But it just I
And
was
they're on a mat,
disappointed.
so it's not even 10 feet.
I was yeah, he had some lifts in. I was disappointed. I honestly was disappointed, especially with the cover art of that of him palming two basketballs. I'm like, all right, this is promising.
Uh-huh.
Nothing.
Not there.
Absolutely nothing. You're really driving home the fact that wrestlers are not athletes, but it is what it is. But let's jump to the women. This is where I think we have a really good chance to bring home a ton of medals, but it's also a really good chance to be the Japan parade as well. They are favored in so many weight classes, starting at 50 with Sasaki, who has never lost, like ever. It's incredible to watch her compete year after year, continue to evolve, or maybe she's not evolving. Maybe no one's just able to catch up to what she puts out there on the mat. She is the favorite at 50, and it's an uphill battle for Sarah Hildebrandt. But what are your guys' thoughts on the field or Sasaki or Hildebrandt's chances of maybe breaking through the defense of Sasaki?
I don't know
I
that
think
that's going to happen just because it's literally never happened before. But I
Yeah.
do feel good about Sarah. I mean, she's a veteran. She's been on this stage so many different times. Maybe is this
think this is her second
This
Olympics.
is her second Olympics. Okay.
Yeah.
But point being, she's been on like the world stage, right? The
Yes.
Olympic is kind of hard to measure just with the how infrequent it is. But she's as good as anyone on the planet. If she's healthy and feeling good and ready to go, I think she's going to be. She should absolutely come home with a medal. Hopefully it's silver. But
Yeah, I mean,
You look
I hope for the same thing. Go ahead.
if you look across all the women's weights, looking at like betting favorites, Sasaki is massively favored over anybody. She's minus 800, and the next closest was minus 200 for all the weight classes. So it's pretty clear that she is heavily favored. I think what my biggest takeaway with Sarah talking to her at the Olympic trials was that she's in such a great place mentally right now, and that was a big issue with her when she's had struggles. It's been more of a mental issue than a physical issue. So feeling good mentally is big for her, and I think she's in a good spot. So I'm excited to see what she can do.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, with Suzuki being a favorite there, correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't Helen win the gold against a pretty talented Japanese?
Yeah,
I
I
forget her
yeah.
name, but yeah,
believe it
I don't think
was.
she was as dominant as Suzuki, but maybe we're
or
getting a little
or
bit
as
Long
of
term
young.
she was. Long term she
Yeah,
yeah,
was.
long
long
time she
term, but
was.
yeah, so maybe maybe it's one of those situations, and Hildebrandt finds a way and gets it done and pulls an upset, but you can only go out there and wrestle, see what happens, right?
Yeah, at the time, like Helen, like the trajectory that Sasaki is on is to be otherworldly, right? Like,
Yeah,
so yes, that is certainly a chance for what Helen can or excuse me, for what Sarah could do of breaking up that entire streak. And yes, we did see that obviously with Helen, with her, making history, obviously becoming the first female wrestling gold medalist, Olympic gold medalist. So yeah, I mean, we have seen history before with Helen. Maybe history does repeat itself with Hildebrandt and Sasaki. It's possible. I would love to see it happen. But yeah, Hildebrandt has been on the stage for a very long time, and I think her leg lace is what really separates her from the rest of the field. And if she can, obviously get on top, then it it's similar to when Spencer Lee gets on top, right? Our leadoff hitters are ferocious on top. It's either a leg lace, which Spencer actually used to be big with the leg lace during his junior years, I believe, more so than the gut wrench. But now he's been gut wrenching guys like crazy, and even still using that cross wrist tilt like we saw him use at the qualifier too. So but yeah, I think what's gonna truly separate Sarah from the rest of the field is her ability to turn, which is obviously the ultimate separation. But I think her ability to turn is what I think can put her into that world final. Um, and I would love to see it, honestly. But it's an uphill battle. Sasaki is incredible. She is. She's just been winning, you know, so much. I don't think she's truly ever lost. When you look at her record, she's got 3 cadet world golds, 2 junior golds, a U23 gold, gold. She won the Oregon in 2017, 2-time Asian Games, and then 4 world championships, and then another gold in Tokyo in 2020. So, I mean, all she sees is gold. I hate to steal from Jordan
Yeah,
Burroughs,
right.
but this woman is crushing everything in her path right now. So it's gonna take a lot for somebody to knock her off, but she's been on an absolute war path. Um,
yeah, I was reading that she won every World Olympic final by tech.
yeah, yeah, it's been
It's
ugly.
oh gosh.
It has been ugly when it comes to that.
Yeah, and she's only 24, so she's got a good maybe 2 more Olympics in her, right?
Yeah.
Like you said, it's just she's going to be phenomenal. She already is, but
Yeah, it's I think everybody's just praying for her to retire at this point, to be completely honest. Like, because that's just the only thing that you got. I mean, she has to retire, and if she does, that opens up that spot at 50. But I would love to eat those words and have um, you know, have us be at the top of the podium for sure. So we'll see what happens, but the odds are not in our favor at 50.
Well,
And
and I guess the other thing though to comment on that too is just that like you know, it might not be red, white, and blue, but it's still kind of cool to watch somebody do something that's this historic,
yeah,
and watch somebody be that dominant. So, hey, get after it, Sarah. And at least she's on the other side of the bracket,
yeah,
according to the seeds. So,
that's yeah. If the seeds are correct, because I don't know. They did release pre-seeds, right?
mhm, mhm. Yeah.
So if the seeds hold at least at this point, which there rarely ever is any changes outside of 74 kilograms on the men's side, which we'll get to. But if seeds hold, she's in a good spot to certainly do some damage. Um, and maybe she does get to the final and pulls a Marulis over Yoshida, and we see more history be made. But let's move on to 53. I think that's kind of where we have an uphill battle, even though we do have a world champ there in Dom Parrish. It is an uphill battle. And Japan once again is the favorite there, right? So it's not going to be any easier for us at 53. What are your guys' thoughts on 53?
I'm a big Don Parrish fan. I think she's been making good progress. I mean, she's clearly coming off of a world championship and is known on the world stage.
Mm-hmm.
But I think she's in a really good spot, and I think, man, she's dangerous, and she knows that, and she can kind of get to point scoring situations even when she's down, and I think that's really big. Um, I don't know, I feel really good about her. Obviously, like as we go through all these weights, it's going to be us in Japan kind of as the 1-2 for the most part at all the weights. So that's going to be our big battle. But I think she's in a good spot, and I think she can certainly has the skill to bring home an Olympic gold.
Yeah, for sure.
And the double finger guns. I mean, you can't go wrong.
Yeah, I mean, she's in one of those positions like we were talking about earlier with the Greco, where you almost want to have the toughest match right away and you win it and you get to keep on moving, or you don't and you're very likely to get pulled back in anyway.
Yeah.
But she has all the talent to beat anybody out there. And certainly again having the she didn't have an easy route. She had to go through Haley Agello, who showed up ready to go just to get this spot, another former Olympian. So she's battle tested domestically and she should be prepared.
Yeah, and like you said, she's no stranger to the world stage. I think that's like the best part about our team, men's and women's, is just the depth that we've had, and kind of the perennial stalwarts that we've had in each one of these weight classes. Is so many of them have been on that world stage, whether they've won a world title before, or whether they've just competed at that level, which all of them, I think just about every single one of them have been in the world finals at one point.
Mhm.
So, they're no stranger to that level of bright lights. But Fujinami is the person to beat here. She's very, very good. She's the returning world champ. She also won a world title in 2021 too. So,
Super young too.
very young, right? She's what,
Yeah.
like 19 or 20. So, yeah, she's going to be very hard to beat. I think what Dom won in 2022, the year that Fujinami was hurt. So, with her being healthy and being back, it is certainly not going to be the easiest road, but and if they do hit early, you get your best shot early, right off the scale too, right? So um that could also be something, right? I don't really I could not tell you on the women's side of like how they compete off the scale compared to the men who, we've seen have to do it so much when it comes to the folk style side. So who knows if that's really a factor, but if you're going to come out guns blazing, you might as well do it early and often. 57 is where we have our Olympic champ, and as well as Olympic bronze. Helen was bronze the last time out. Obviously, she was gold in 2016, and Helen's done a hell of a lot of winning. And I think everyone has the utmost confidence in in Helen to get back to the top of the podium. I would love to see her get to the top of the podium, and I think, um, she might be in that tier of, is this her last one or not, too, right? So it would, it's her third Olympics. She's I believe, the first woman to ever compete in three Olympics, Olympic wrestler to compete in three Olympics. So, um, Helen has been on that world stage since she was very, very young. So the bright lights are nothing for her. I love the fact that she has come back from the injuries that she's had, the concussions, trials and tribulations that she had to go through, and she looks fully healthy and ready to go, which is amazing. So hopefully Helen can do the Helen things, the foot sweeps, the 2-on-1s to the foot sweeps, and all the really cool stuff. What are your guys' thoughts at 57?
Remember how dominant she was, like right after she won the Olympics and was just coming back? I feel like it was like, before that, the injuries really started to happen. She was just cooking the planet, and she'd go wrestle in these weird tournaments like in the middle of nowhere. And no, she was awesome. So yeah, watching her come back and everything is going to be great. It would be just so awesome for her to be able to get that done. To come home with another Olympic gold and to really solidify herself as, essentially the I mean, you'd probably have to put her in GOAT status at that point, right?
Yeah.
As far as, United States women's wrestling. Um, yeah, I hope it's not her last. I want her to keep competing because she's super fun and great for the sport. But again, I'm gonna try to really relish and appreciate the moments that we have with some of these people as the younger ones start to come up.
Yeah. Yeah. What is it? Sakurai is the top contender here. She
Another young Japanese phenom.
Yeah, she
Yeah.
beat Helen in the world finals
Two
in
Yeah,
years ago.
22.
2022. Yep, 3-0
Yeah.
score was.
So hopefully Helen has learned a little bit, and how to get through that defense after, the last time they wrestled in 22 in the finals where she wasn't able to score. Um, but yeah, I mean, that's a tough bout. And as as we already alluded to, it is Japan, USA right there from start to finish at a lot of these weights. Um, any other thoughts, fellas?
No, I'm just like, yeah, kind of what you guys were saying. It's tough to see Helen. She had that back concussion. She missed what, a year and a half, 2 years now, and then she started really feeling her rhythm. But Father Time is catching up. It says she's 32 here, which is not young for a wrestler, right? So might be her last one, which might be a little more motivating for her to come back and win this gold. But like you said, you have a little bit of a tough opponent there, and just be great to see her go out on top, man. I think that'd be one of the best stories in the entire Olympics on the wrestling side, for her to come back and from that injury and win a gold and go out on top. I think that'd be awesome.
Yeah, for sure. In the next weight, I feel like it's kind of reminiscent of the men at 65. Where 65 has been kind of I shouldn't say Achilles heel, because obviously Kayla Miracle has done really, really well on the world stage. It's just like you want her to break through and get to the top of the podium, right? We know how capable she is, and she's been, in the world finals a number of times, and she's medaled a number of times. You want to see her get through to the top, and what we saw from her at the trials was the ability to adjust against really talented competition. And I think that that's certainly what it's going to take here. I mean, obviously, that's kind of goes without saying, but she's going to, she is the underdog more so than Helen or Sarah at 50 and 57. Um, I think she's kind of in that in between stage where we know she can medal. We know she can do really, really great things. She was part of the last Olympic team as well, and she has the ability. I would just love to see her kind of just break through, make the tiny adjustments that she has to make in order to score the points that she needs.
Yeah, it's interesting with her because she's been on the scene and so successful, not just with her college career, but then obviously at like the senior level stuff.
Mhm.
Um, she's been dominant. But yeah, there's that one next step that you kind of feel like a lot of these dominant, awesome, high level wrestlers seem to get to at some point, and she's just not done it yet. But maybe this will be that tournament, right? And again, I feel like I'm saying terrible things against a super accomplished and talented wrestler, but it's like that's the point. Is that's how good she is. You kind of expect her to make that next leap, and it just hasn't happened yet.
Because
So
she's always just like so close,
right,
always just
right.
like right there. And you're like, you can get there and you see like how close she really is to a lot of the competition. And it just hasn't, went over the top yet. So yeah, I
You-
feel you. You feel like you're like downgrading, but you're like, man, she's had such a stellar career in
Right.
college and on the world level. She just, when you look at the team, you're like, she just deserves it. Like, you just want to see her get it done. Not to say that any of the other ones you don't, but like she's just been that damn close. And it's like you can make this happen. And I think that she certainly can. I would love to see her bring home a medal because she, like I said, deserves to be there. But you know, it's so close. And I think what was it, the last time she was very close to being in that bronze medal match, if I remember correctly too. So let's
I mean,
make it
she's been a,
happen.
a world finalist, so it's not like
Yeah.
it's not
Right.
possible. But I think everybody's kind of on the same page where we just want to see that next, that next step of the progression because everybody's been been waiting for it because she's been so good for so long.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think this weight class be interesting too, because it appears that this weight class is more open than the ones we previously talked about, where there was a heavy Japanese favorite. Here it looks like
They
there's,
were all pretty light though.
oh yeah, I guess you're right. Yeah, but yeah, it looks like there's a little more parity here, and
Yeah.
I think that that could go a long way for someone like Kayla to get in there, get on a roll, beat someone that's up there in top three, top four favorites, and get it rolling and keep it going.
Yeah, she'll have to close the gap on Tiny Bakova because she was, just like Helen in the world finals when she wrestled Tiny Bakova, she wasn't able to score and get past the defense. So
Yeah.
that's something that she'll have to certainly overcome. But obviously, now that you know what that feel is when you come up against it again, you know how to make those adjustments and you've trained for it. It's funny. One of the things that Jamil said to me during our interview was going into the Olympics, and obviously for him, preparation was different because there were no seeds back then. It was all blind draw. But he was just like, I knew every single person's first takedown, second takedown, what they were going to do on top. He was like, I could probably still tell you now. Right. So I feel like the preparation for our team with who they can hit and what they need to know is what's going to truly close those gaps. And I feel like Miracle is definitely one of them with how we've seen her transition her wrestling on the world stage. And obviously she made her first berth in 2020 on the Olympic side of things too. So I think it would be huge, on that mental side for her to just like tap into the talent that we know she has and that we feel like she can really propel herself into. On to the next one. 68 is where we are favored, and for very good reason, because Amit has a world championship gold for every single letter in her first and last name. And she's been doubling up for the last 3 years. It's not just one here at this age level, it's one here on the senior level too. So, an amazing feat for her to do the things that she's been doing. And as the favorite, you hope that she lives up to expectation, right? You don't want to see her make the wrong adjustment here or there. She's been ruling the field for, the last couple of years. Even she even has I believe a bronze medal before winning all the golds that she's won. So over the last quad, essentially, she's lost one match and just been super dominant. And she's such a smart wrestler. And you see that in her wrestling of, not overcommitting, shooting when she needs to shoot. It's literally hers to lose, essentially. And she is the favorite here. And I love to see the progression that she's made. As there was that first year where she won 2 titles in 1 year. And everybody's like, okay, but can she do it again? And she did another 2 times. Right. So like that's the most interesting part, is like she's become more and more dominant as people are trying to close the gap. So your thoughts on our gold medal favorite at 68?
She's a freak. I mean, it's crazy to think that an 8-time world champion is, kind of quietly under the radar. Um,
And she's
but
an
she
8-time
is.
world champion in 3 years.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what's crazy is like she very well could have been the Olympian 2020, but she was too young by a day. So she couldn't even compete. Um, so she could have won that. I mean, it's wild to see her progression in the last 4 years. And it's I don't there's nothing stopping her ascension right now.
She
And
was too
she's
young by a
just
day. Is that
continued.
true?
Mhm. She was a day too young to make the cutoff to wrestle for the Olympic trials.
That's insane. I did not know that.
So she's so good, and she's going to continue to be good. She's 20. She has 8 world championships. She's 20
This is her
and
first Olympics.
continuing to get better. It's wild. She's so fun to watch too. She's so good.
Yeah. Incredible feat, especially dropping down, because she's normally what, at 72. So she's down at 68 for this, and the weight cut doesn't look like it's affecting her, not one bit.
I think anything affects her.
Yeah. What does affect her? Is it
Yeah.
kryptonite? Is that have an effect?
Probably buying alcohol because she's
Yeah.
only 20.
Yeah, yeah, buying alcohol. What else is in
Gambling.
there? Anything? Yeah,
She can't
gambling.
go to the casino yet.
Can't rent a car.
Rent a car. Yeah.
Yeah, insane. So wild to be so accomplished and so damn young. But yeah, it's incredible to watch, everything that she's able to do, not just against people domestically, but internationally. And yeah,
I don't even think I had watched 8 world championships by the time I was 20,
Yeah.
mm-mm.
let alone won 8 of them.
Yeah.
It's bonkers.
I mean, it was really hard to watch wrestling for us
That's
growing
fair.
up. Let's
That's fair.
I mean, I can remember
fair.
being like, "Oh, the NCAA championships are on ESPN. Let's watch them."
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
there's a tape delay. Let's watch them, because there were hardly ever commercials for anything like that. And if you missed it, you missed it. There's no
Or you,
DVR.
or you
Well,
dig
and
up an old VHS tape and
Oh,
pop it
yeah.
in.
there was one year where like they just didn't show 149. They were
Yeah.
like, they're just like, and on to 157. Like, wait, what?
Yeah, that's incredible. Yeah, that's wow. She is Superwoman, and I love watching her wrestle. She does amazing things. Love her attacks, her intelligence, her wrestling IQ is, on par with some of the best that we've ever seen come through the United States and internationally as well. So, um, I think capping this off, is probably one of the athletes in Kennedy Blades at 76 who everyone circled that we would see on the Olympic team, right? Like you had Amit who came through and, was quietly doing things. Then you had Kennedy Blades who, is part of the Izzy style where you're going to get the spotlight, right? And Izzy was making sure that everybody knew exactly who, the Blades sisters, or at least at one point it was just Kennedy. And then the both of them were like, there's two of us. We clean house in multiple weights over here. Right. And you kind of did circle Kennedy. And I can remember a conversation, back in the Flow office where we were like, she might be the one that takes over at 76 someday. And it happened this year. Right. And I feel like it's not going to be easy. It's another Japanese wrestler that is going to be here that she's going to have to get past to get the gold, most likely. Um, because the Japanese team has been ultra amazing in this weight. Outside of obviously Adeline doing the things that she's done for the United States over these years, but seeing how Kennedy competed against Adeline, where she beat Adeline at one point, and then Adeline came back and beat her, and then this year, really jump levels to take Adeline out and continue down the path of what's going to be her legacy in this sport. And I think it's going to be really, really promising, starting with this being her first senior level tournament. And I think it's going to be amazing, for this to be kind of her coming out party at the Olympics. Everything else kind of pales in comparison. I'm sorry to say it, but like the Olympics being your first world championship or your first senior level world championship is amazing. And I've had high hopes for Kennedy Blades ever since Izzy told me about her back in Fargo. And you're just seeing the trajectory that she's been on, and it's all coming to fruition. And she's doing the things that everybody expected her to do, and then some, right? And I don't think anyone expected her to beat Adeline to take the spot. You kind of thought there'd be a passing of the torch, but she's just on her own path. Your guys' thoughts on 76 and what you expect to see from Kennedy Blades in her first senior level world championship, or Olympics, I should say.
So I I kind of expected her to beat Adeline last year.
Yeah.
I mean, she won the first match if I remember correctly, and then Adeline kind of stormed back and took the next two. Um, but basically, I was like, man, if I'm sure that's got to be eating her inside, right? Like she can't. I'm sure she feels like she was that close to the her first senior world championships and let it go. So yeah, when she was coming back this year, I was like, I would love to have the Adeline Gray story to like promote women's wrestling, but I don't think she's gonna make the team.
Yeah.
And yeah, Kennedy really had to, figure out some different things on how to get to those shots a little bit more effectively against Adeline, and obviously did. Um, but it almost benefits her to. I mean, how often do you see a first year world team member go out there and start getting upset wins at big tournaments like this? I mean, we see it all the time. So it's probably in her favor to just be here, ready to go, feeling like she's prepared and is beating one of the best, women's wrestlers of all time in order to get there in the first place.
Mhm.
So she should be confident, and she's crazy dangerous. So the rest of the world better be prepared.
Yeah, she's got a really dynamic offense too. Like it's not it's not the same as a lot of others, right? She's got a lot of movement. She got heavy hands. She uses her hand placement very well. And like Amid, her IQ is just like, you know, through the roof for being such a young wrestler. So, props to them, both of them, who, they're training together at least at some points, because that's just going to make them even deadlier down the line.
Mhm.
Yeah, and her being so tall, I guess taller than the average 76 kilo wrestler. I
Mhm.
think that might give her advantage too. It's not something that, these other foreign ladies might not be used to, right? I think her being young and like, I think Kevin hit the nail on the head, just being hungry and, hey, I'm here. It's my turn now. Let's go. I think that says something. And she just committed to Iowa, so she's fresh off a commitment, to college. Another 20-year-old. It's just crazy how young and awesome these wrestlers are. It's crazy to me.
Yeah,
She
I
only
was
has
gonna do something.
one world championship at 20, not 8.
Yeah,
Yeah.
not,
So
but I'm sure she will get there.
yeah,
That's the
you got a
thing
ton
is
of
like
upside.
when you when you look at it, right? Like I mean, it's got 8. Kennedy has 1, but I don't remember Kennedy ever doubling up on a team, did she?
I
Not
don't
that
I
You
don't
know,
think so.
I don't think that like it really wasn't something that a lot of a lot of people were doing like
Yeah, she
really
was
ever.
or
slacking.
tripling up.
Yeah, but could you imagine? She's like, wait a second, I was able to wrestle on both teams. Like, why didn't I do that? Right. So I wouldn't be surprised if they kind of started a trend with trying to double up on gold medals in each year. So, but no, I mean, I hope that they just with their young statures just kind of take everything in, but stay like hyper focused, right? Like because it's a different stage. It just is, and just want to see them do well. Let's move on to the men and start at 57, where it is NCAAs in Paris.
Yeah.
So we've got Micic, who's the returning world gold medalist, Spencer Lee making his senior level debut, RBY making his senior level debut, and then Darian Cruz, who has been on the scene for Puerto Rico for quite some time. All NCAA champions, all guys with crazy amounts of success in their own right. I mean, and it's funny, Austin, you said before coming on, wouldn't it be awesome if the 4 of them were just on the podium at the end of the tournament? Like amazing, right? But somebody's gotta lose in this regard. So, but no, I mean, if they could take both bronze, the silver, and the gold, I'd be completely happy with it. Um, but let's go with RBY first. What are your guys' thoughts on RBY and his chances on bringing home a medal and what he brings to this entire crop of wrestlers, right? Because you also still have Haratunian, you still have Higuchi that are going to be in there. So like, what are your thoughts on how RBY stacks up against this field where he's an underdog essentially?
And then there was a picture that floated out on social media of him today. He looked pretty dang skinny from what he
Yeah,
is
he's
at about
slim.
33. So yeah, so I don't know if it's going to be a cut issue with him, just being down this low. Um, but like he's one of the quickest wrestlers I've seen in a long time. I think he has that going for him, and just the way his footwork is, and he's he can be kind of a wild card, just not having a crazy amount of experience wrestling here. And I think it's one of those guys. I think it's that speed. You kind of have to feel for one time to get used to it. It might catch some guys off guard. But yeah, my main concern, obviously, I'm rooting for him, but my main concern is that weight cut. Is he going to be able to hold up? Back to back days and things, and he just looks skinny, man. It didn't look right to me.
Yeah, he made the cut, and I think it was plus. I don't know if I don't think it was +2 actually because it's an Olympic qualifier. But he made the cut obviously for Pan Am's
Yeah.
and made the Pan Am finals. Him and Cruz made the Pan Am finals. So yeah, he's looked skinny. The weight cut is definitely going to be a thing. I don't well, I shouldn't say be a thing, but it is a factor.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, I mean that is definitely. I mean you got to beat the scale before you beat anybody, and for him who's essentially not used to being down and competing at that weight consistently, who's had what one, maybe 2 world level tournaments in his back pocket going into this at that weight. I think you're right. The weight cut is definitely a thing. Um, But guys, any other thoughts on what RBY brings to the field?
I'm just happy to get to watch him again, man. He's so much fun to watch. The speed and the quickness and his variety of ways to finish shots. I'm really just excited to see what he's going to be able to do. I mean, he looked pretty good in Pan Am's and some of those qualifying events. Um, but yeah, I mean, this is the senior level. This is the Olympics. So let's see what he can do. But again, I mean, if you're somebody who the rest of the world at this level is not familiar with, you can probably shock some people. He's got every bit of ability to do that. So, yeah, I'm just gonna hold out hope. In fact, I'm gonna flat out predict we're gonna have all of the NCAA D1 guys coming home with medals. We're going 4 for 4. It's happening.
I think it's right. I mean, he's a complete wild card because of his inexperience on the level. But if you look at him in comparison, just his skill set compared to the other people at 57, his speed and explosiveness is other level. I mean, just look at him compared to Spencer. They're two completely different types of wrestlers, and they're at the same weight, but they're a completely different style, and that speed is going to be huge, especially in the early rounds.
Yeah, his athleticism is what truly sets him apart from most guys. And I think that's what we saw in, what was it, last year? Not last year, 2 years ago, when he wrestled Dayton Fix in the finals. It was that athleticism. They may have gone into overtime, but mostly because of Dayton's stinginess and his ability, his great defense.
Mhm.
But it was then RBY's athleticism that won him that match, right? And that was the biggest differentiator for him. And I think you guys are right. That's what he brings that most of these other guys, I shouldn't say don't have, but it is a big X factor for him. Um, However, when you look at the field and you see the length of Micic or the strength and ability of Higuchi to get to a leg. I rewatched the match with Micic and Higuchi earlier today, and Higuchi's ability to get to Micic's legs was huge, even though later on in the match, Miches was able to turn the tide and utilize his defense, utilize that length in order to get his leg out or counter and win the match. Even though maybe a little bit of Serbian controversy in the end of that one, where Higuchi was very close to a takedown on the edge and it didn't go his way. But I mean, call it what it is. Higuchi is another dynamic guy that I think kind of throws a little bit of a monkey wrench into things in this weight class. Um, Now I want to move on to Spencer before we get to Micic. We hadn't seen Spencer wrestle on the senior level until this year, where we saw him at the U.S. Open. Um, we saw him where else at the tournament in New York, after he'd already, saw him at the Open after he'd already won the tournament in New York, right? So, or
Yeah.
no, vice versa. So he didn't even have to wrestle on that the second one, but he chose to get a little bit more experience under his belt. Um, and then the qualifier is where I think it was obviously the biggest test for him, where it truly showed what he had in the tank, what he was going to be able to do against other very world level competition. um and that was for me where I was like, okay, now there's a lot more belief in what Spencer can do, because we've seen him do these things to all these guys in folk style for years and years and years. We've seen him tune all these guys up, take them down, ride them, turn them, do all these things. And essentially that was the same thing he was doing at, the two domestic tournaments that he did it at. When he went to the qualifier, it was different and he hit a different gear. And I think that's what he brings that is going to be the X factor for him, and why people are going to have to wrestle him differently than they would Micic or Higuchi or some of these other guys. So, um, for me, that's why, Spencer may not be the favorite, but like RBY, he's going to be a landmine for these other guys that have been on the stage, like I said, Higuchi or Micic or Haratunian, that they're going to have to watch out for. And I'm sure they're definitely watching some tape on. What are your guys' thoughts on what Spencer brings to the field?
Just really creative ways to get turns. I mean, he was, gosh, it was like he was obviously getting the bar arm stuff and getting guys turned that way. What he was doing with just his flexibility, even after all those knee surgeries against Gilman, was super impressive. He just seems to know, okay, I've got 6 minutes to score points, so I'm going to score all the points as fast as I possibly can, right? And again, he's super creative when he does it. And really, the guys who I think are going to be best, like, prepared for him are the guys who's wrestled in college, right? Like those guys know what a Spencer Lee is capable of. So those guys are probably going to be, a little bit in better shape than maybe, you know, I don't know. I can't pronounce any of these names. Vladimir Igorov of North Macedonia. He probably doesn't know what a Spencer Lee is about, is about to do to him. But yeah, I mean, he's really capable of winning it all. I would be very, very happy to see it happen. God, especially with just all the surgeries and the injuries and everything else that he's gone through. We've been deprived of this as wrestling fans for so long. This the senior level Spencer Lee, and now we're finally getting it. So cross my fingers.
Do you think it's a Micic versus Spencer final?
I would love that. That would make me very, very happy. Yes, I'm gonna go ahead and say that. It is wild though, because like here's the other thing about this weight. Like there is a ton of depth, and I know Micic is coming off being is the defending world champion and everything, but that was not an easy road. It's not like he blew through the competition. Any of those other guys that he had to come back and beat
No,
probably
he
felt
he
like they
beat
should have won it.
he beat world and Olympic champions in order to win worlds last year.
Right.
That was a
So
hard that was a hard road.
yeah, so it's gonna be really, really deep. I hope we do get the four D1 guys getting medals, but it's gonna be fun to watch nonetheless.
As a Lehigh Valley homer, I really hope that Darian Cruz wins a
Mhm.
medal.
He looks really good um in the competitions we've seen him in already this year.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's the thing is like, the only one of these guys that is seeded is Micic, and he's the top seed.
Mhm.
Right. So like there's a good chance that most of them could be on the same side of the damn bracket
Mhm.
because the other guys aren't seeded. So that's gonna be, 57, man. And I think the first day one is at like 4 a.m. my time, 5 a.m. your time for you guys. So I'll be awake. I'll get there somehow. But yeah, it's gonna be very, very interesting. Any other thoughts on 57?
I like Spencer. Um, from the betting side, he opened at plus 700 and he's all the way down to plus 180 now. So people are on him. I'm pretty happy that I got him at plus 600. So I've got some good money on him. I'm hoping that he pulls it off. But just seeing him healthy, I think is the biggest thing that gives me uh, optimism in how he's going to do, because even not a not fully healthy Spencer Lee is dangerous, but a fully healthy one is a completely different, a complete different animal. So I think he's in a good spot. Like you said, I mean, this is such a crazy weight and it's so deep that the bracket draw is going to be very important for everybody, because it's going to determine, repechage and who's coming back where and matchups. There's just a lot that's going to come out off of that bracket draw. But I mean, I'm pretty optimistic for him being at the top of the podium.
Yeah, the other thing with Spencer too, at least, and it might sound weird, but I think the Olympics might be less pressure for him compared to NCAAs 4 months ago.
Mhm.
Because just follow him the whole season. He had a camera in his face 24/7. Um, just and he was supposed to be the next guy to be the four-timer this, four-time that, and he's on record saying freestyle is his favorite. He has more
Yeah.
fun doing freestyle. So now that NCAA folk style stuff that he's just kind of does to stay in shape for freestyle is over with, I think this is might be more, he might be more mentally there, or maybe that's a bad choice of words, but I think he might be more ready to go compared to what was it 4.5 months ago at
A year
NCAAs.
ago.
A year ago, yeah. Sorry, I'm getting my years mixed up, but yeah, it's yeah, I think freestyle is his better option. He likes it more, and like you guys are saying, he's healthy, and I think that could be really scary for the competition here.
You mean not having to hold weight and weigh in multiple times a week and wrestle multiple matches in a day isn't his favorite thing to do? Yeah.
Yeah,
On
Yeah.
one leg.
makes sense.
I think it checks out. Yeah. Yeah. The utmost confidence in Spencer Lee, and you always have to, because he's deceptively strong. Let's put that one on the bingo card. Him just
That Pokemon strength.
yeah, like he's just like kind of crushes guys into the positions he wants them in.
Mhm.
And it's like, and he makes it look pretty easy. I'm like, what type of crazy grip strength does he have that he's able to, lock up a gut wrench and turn a guy the way that he does, So whatever he's doing, keep doing it, teach it to the masses so that we can continue to trot out Spencer Lee's for the next, 100 years of winning medals. 65. Man, this weight. This weight
That's the
is
correct
just,
reaction to this weight.
oh, Zane, break the curse, please. I know Yanni has won a world medal, but the Olympics haven't been our thing since what, 2004 when Jamil won silver. Is he the last guy? And that was 66, but like I think he's the last. Is he the last medalist?
Um, what
Would
was
would imagine so.
what was
Or was it
Coleman?
Frere?
Was Coleman
He was
61 or 60?
he was 60.
Okay.
Yeah, that was 60. So yeah, I mean the weights have obviously changed a ton over the years, but back then I think what was it? It was like 55 and then 60, and then they changed it to 57,
That's
65 after that. Um, and there was a 66, I think. So yeah, I don't know, but it's, put it this way, it has been a while since we've had a medal here. It's been a long
Mhm.
time. Zane is also and I know we mentioned this before, but Zane's also the first guy to qualify the weight for himself at 65 since Schwab did it in 2008, where he qualified it for placing seventh at Worlds the year before. Yeah. Yeah. That one we were up late, me and the group text, and Fretwell was texting Schwab to discuss that one, and Schwab was like, "Yes, that is true. I qualified the weight by taking seventh." And he got all fired up about the matches that he lost in 2007, very late at night. So, but yeah,
That checks out.
that is that is that is how it went. But I mean, 65. We got Austin Gomez who's in here, um, along with obviously Zane Gomez. Can
And
you say,
Seabass.
yeah, like and Seabass too, who was the flag bearer for Puerto Rico, which is awesome. Um, can you say that Gomez is kind of the surprise qualifier? Like, I'm not trying to downplay anything that he's done, but the path that he went on to qualify where he hadn't beaten Nick Lee before and ended up, and he was down against Nick Lee. So he's kind of the surprise qualifier here. And I love Austin Gomez. I think he's awesome. The ultimate gamer. Love the fact that, he's in the games and he's representing family like he wants to, just like Darian, just like RBY, and just like any of the guys that we've had that were in the NCAA that are representing other countries. I don't have any issue with it. Go represent, go wrestle, go compete. It's what it's all about. But I love the fact that Austin Gomez is in. I don't obviously like the path that he had to take with, knocking out Nick Lee from qualifying the weight at Pan Am's, but I think it's awesome that he's in here. But then also, yes, Sebastian Rivera, returning silver medalist, or at least world silver medalist. Want to see him get the job done as well. But man, Zane, just please make things happen for the United States at 65, because it has been super cursed. I mean, Jo 1 point away from qualifying it in 2021 to make this shit happen. What do you guys think about this field at 65 and Zane's chances of doing something that we haven't had done in a very long time?
Well, Robbie, is there a money line on how many minutes in Zane gets his head wrapped?
Yeah,
It's
right.
probably gonna
No,
be
but
over under
I would like that.
minutes.
Oh, it's definitely first round.
Yeah, I mean,
Uh,
this is one of those it's wide open. Flip a coin, and
mhm.
that's probably who you're gonna get. You could wrestle this 100 times, you get 100 different results, but yeah, you want to see Zane do the thing. You want to see Gomez go out there, compete, let it fly a little bit. Where he's going to throw you, hit a double on you. It's going to be fun, and you got a lot of former Russians out there too that have that that Russian style that kind of defected from there. So you're going to see a lot of different styles clash here. It's going to be a fun weight to watch, and it'd be nice to get all three Americans on that podium again. Just like we talked for 57.
Yeah. Yeah, Musakai is going to be the guy to beat. That's who Rivera lost to last year in the finals. And handily, Musakai just kind of rolled him up a little bit, but um, and that's another one of those Russian guys that now wrestles for Hungary, I believe. So
Don't sleep on Haji. I
the
mean, Haji
yeah,
Aliyev is in his third Olympic Games now.
yeah, I was gonna say, and he Haji has been around for quite some time. If you look at his accolades, they go back to 2014.
Mhm.
I think Austin was still in college in 2014, right?
And it's true, yeah.
So like that's how
Barely.
long that man has been around. Austin still had a baby face like me because I'm the youngster of the group. Complete lie.
Yeah, keep rubbing it in.
Complete lie. I'm older than Austin. I remember Austin when he was wearing a Concrete Kid singlet. But yeah, I mean Haji Aliyev, we've seen him wrestle on this stage for quite some time, and he's another one of those guys that you feel like this could be his last one as well, with just everything that he has done for the sport. And he's also one of those guys that I think you'll learn about in America, right? Where you're like, man, like I like that guy. Like I can root for that. He's like a Chamizo type of guy. Where you're like, okay, this guy, he's gonna be a pain in the ass for a bunch of years, but he goes hard. He wrestles very hard. He's a likable guy. Haji Aliyev, let's see, kind of what he can do, right? So, um, no, I think Zayn can bring home a medal, but I think what is to his detriment is what we were talking about with RBY is the athleticism of RBY is where Zayn has that like crazy farm boy type strength and less athleticism. Not to say he's not an athlete, but he's one of those guys where you shoot on him, it's going to be an absolute dogfight where he's going to fight you and it's going to be gridlock. Whereas you shoot on RBY and he's going to be scrambling, looking for a million different ways to score running around the mat. So I think that's where the separation is, where Zane's going to have to get going early and often. When he gets to a leg, it's tough to fight those off. So, I hope that he shoots as much as he possibly can, because when Zane is on his attack, most guys cannot stand on their feet for very long.
Yeah,
Well,
he's
that's
relentless.
that's where you get a little concerned, right? That he's going to end up Metcalfing himself, where you exhaust the guys so much in a loss that they can't even, sustain the next match. They're going to drop it, so you never
Yeah.
get pulled into repechage. But what I will say is, I mean, like, I think I heard Zane talking about how the weight cut was something he didn't think he was going to be able to do and didn't want to do, and he thought about retiring after winning Worlds at 70 last year, and they kind of talked him into it. I, he's looked excellent. Like
Hmm.
he has not looked like he has had any gas tank issues. He looks just as fired up and just as dangerous as he did up at 70. So, assuming health and anything else that could get in the way of that, I think he's a legit medal threat for sure. And to
He,
go back to real quick on Austin Gomez, he had to like travel down to the qualifier like mid wrestling season.
hmm
You know, I think
Yeah.
like he missed a duel or something to go do that because that's how you qualify for the Olympics, which was the goal.
yeah.
Um, so yeah, happy he was able to get that done.
Yeah, speaking of Zayn in the weight cut, he posted on his Instagram story once, and I took a screenshot of it because I was like, I need to look this up. Me being the health crazy nut, I need to look up the calorie content. I needed to look it up, so I still have it on my phone. The one day he ate lunch, it was half pound of ground beef, blueberries, bananas, raw honey, Parmesan cheese with chia seeds, cumin, and green juice. That's what his lunch was. So if that's what that man is eating and that's what's fueling those crazy strong muscles, eat that every single day for the next
Yeah,
year, right? Like just get up. But like, I think he really did everything that he needed to do correctly when it came to the weight cut, because, once they convinced him, it was like, all right, not to say that he's a super disciplined human being, but like when you see posts like that, you're like, I'm gonna go over here and eat this cheeseburger because that man can't, because he's eating that.
yeah, yeah,
Right?
yeah,
Like I feel bad for that man right now,
Here's the
but
beer.
yeah,
yeah, yeah,
I'm
yeah.
gonna I'm gonna drink the whiskey for you because you deserve it, right? So he's definitely been through the ultimate sacrifice, and him and Spencer qualifying the way that they did, incredible, right? Incredible feats of strength and just a perseverance to qualify those weights and do what they did. And like I said, have Zane qualify 65 for the first time in a very, very long time. So yeah, just awesome.
Yeah.
74, the revolving door of contestants. Like, this is insane. If I feel like for the last couple of weeks, it's been ever changing at 74, and it changed again today where Sabalov was added. Um, Kadi Magomedov is in at 74. He was originally out, and then he's in. That's one of the guys that beat Dake, and Dake's like, I really want that match. Now he has the potential to get it. And then, like I said, Sabalov was announced, I believe, today or yesterday or something like that, that he's in, right? So like, very different field, and along on top of that, Chamizo is also in, right? So like a very different field than what was expected when there were so many guys that you didn't think were going to be in, right? A major chunk, Sidikov, certainly not there, but this weight is crazy deep, just absolutely crazy deep. And Dake is the favorite. And, once again, you have the questions of, does Dake go another quad, or does he take that job that's waiting for him in Oklahoma? Um, gonna say that allegedly open, but I don't see any doors that have closed. But that's the thought, right? Like, is this his last one? I am supremely confident in Kyle Dake to do everything to destroy the field, to be super offensive, to be super defensive when he needs to, and win the gold medal. Um, what are your thoughts on Dake versus the field here at 74?
Yeah, there's not anybody here that I can see or would recognize that like I'm worried about. I've seen him destroy Takatani a bunch of times. I've seen him beat Chamizo a bunch of times. Um, I've seen him beat the planet many times, you know.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think Kyle Dake is probably as close to the top of his game as he can be. Again, and if we're going to talk about people who had to go through, you know, domestically pretty tough road, like he had to get through some. I mean, that was a rough road for anybody to get that 74 kilogram spot. So he's ready, man. He's going to go do it. I know he was pretty bummed. I think the last Olympics, when he just had that weird match at the semis or whatever. He was still bronze, right? Yeah. Um, but yeah, I'm sure he's going to be here, prepared, ready to go, and get it done.
Yeah.
He was
It,
pretty banged up in Tokyo, wasn't he, too? He was hurts, right? They had to like time his cortisone shots, and he was kind of off that match that you mentioned, Kev. So I think that was part of it. And I just think from that, just kind of the asterisk talk, with Russia dropping out, and his dad just passed away too. I think there's a lot that he's wrestling for, and like you said, could it be his last one? That just adds to that factor of motivation there. And I think being the favorite is a good thing for him, but I don't think that matters to him. I think, like you said, he wants to dominate, and what asterisk? I think that's on his mind. There's no asterisk here. I would have won anyway. Look, I dominated everybody. I think that's
yeah.
kind of his mentality right now.
I feel like Dake and injury have been kind of the headline of his career, where he's always kind of banged up. He's always kind of dealing with something. I feel like right now he is the healthiest he's ever been. Right? Everybody jokes of Dake saying he's getting younger every day and everything else, and you know, make the jokes if you will, but I feel like he is the freshest and in the best shape that we have seen him in, where he is healthy. It doesn't seem like anything, there's no like nagging injury. He's done everything that he needed to take care of his body as a 30 something year old. Um, and that he's ready to go. Right. And that's the kind of the long and short of it is, the last Olympics, he was banged up in the match that he ended up losing. He had to suck it up to win bronze. And, I feel like the injury made him take a cautious approach, kind of step back a little bit and be a little bit more defensive. And, you know, he ended up losing that match pretty handily. And everybody was just like, what the hell just happened? Right. It was kind of a whirlwind of shock that hit, American fans. But I think that he is the healthiest that he has been going into a world level tournament. And I think it'll be a dominant showing. At least I'm hoping it'll be a dominant showing where, it's not sitting back waiting for a guy to shoot, throw him with a Dake bomb or something, or, look for a chest wrap. Because when he gets through one and he's in on a leg and he gets through it, so much explosion. And it's like such a controlled chaos that we've seen him wrestle with, that I hope he brings into this one. And he is the veteran and he has to, set a tone. And I mean, really hard to set a tone when you're at the end of the Olympics when you're competing, but mindset wise and work wise, you know, I kind of like clenched up a little bit when I saw him post a video of them like riding, what was it, like scooters or something. They're not in Paris, they're in some beach town right now, since they're at the end of the Olympics. And I was like, man, just walk. please
Please.
just if there's not four doors, just walk, please. but no, supremely confident in Kyle Dake as always. And, I feel like if we put our top four guys in this tournament, we would have the top four guys in the world on the podium, and
Mm.
so I feel like he's better battle tested going through the trials than he is going through a world level tournament.
And there's a lot of talent in this weight class, but it's not a young talent. It's a lot of people who won world
Mm-hmm.
championships in the early 2010s, 2000 teens. So the talent's there. That and something to be said for wily veterans. But I think Dake's in a really good spot to end up on top. And I think if he wrestles his tournament and sets the tone early, I think that's what he does.
Yeah, I agree. 86. Just like 76 in women, 86, we've got a rookie debut where Aaron Brooks is taking the reins and will look to continue the trend of not letting Yazdani be on top of the podium. And I am here for it. It seems he's already super focused because he didn't go to the opening ceremonies. He's, been doing his own thing. I think there is some ABC feature that's going to be coming out on him as well. But outside of that, I feel like he's been like hyper focused. He's got his team there. He's got, his partner in Donovan Ball, who is his partner for every single thing that they do. Um, him and Donovan Ball have been kind of partners in crime since they got to Penn State together. And his parents are also there, so he's been super focused. And I feel like Aaron Brooks over the last couple of years has done a very good job of making the main thing and keeping the main thing. He's, one of those be where your feet are kind of guys. I know that's a slogan on one of Dake's merchandise things, but Aaron Brooks really truly embodies that, where he is just like, I'm here to do a job, and that's what I'm going to do. Um, I don't know if I would have missed out on opening ceremonies had I been in the Olympics, but like that's just his style. He's there to do one thing, and he's not there for the extras, and that's really it, right? But he is the underdog here. He certainly is the underdog in this weight class. He's making a senior level debut where he's going to have a hell of a time against, some more NCAA competition, right? You got Miles Amin, who's also in there, Ethan Ramos, who's also in there too. Um, but man, as much as I want to pick Aaron Brooks because of what we saw him do with David Taylor and David Taylor's offense, it's really hard because Yazdani is as good as he is with what he does. And I don't know how much film Aaron Brooks watches, but if I am Aaron Brooks, I am watching that match with Yazdani and Hidley to see how Yazdani is going to counter an underhook guy or a guy that tries to overhook or do, whatever with an underhook. So um, I think Aaron Brooks will be shocking to a lot of the competition in this bracket because they've never seen him and they haven't wrestled him yet. So it's a different kind of feel. So I think he brings the same type of RBY athleticism in a much larger body. What are your guys' thoughts on Aaron Brooks here at 86?
Yeah, I mean, clearly the fact that he beat David Taylor, who was the world champion last year, says that we should have some confidence in him. I mean, the guy's managed expectations through his whole career, right? To be able to finish out his career in the way that he did it against, another awesome guy in Hively who had such a great year as well, up to that point. So I'm gonna believe in him until I don't anymore, until he gives me a reason not to. Selfishly, I'm really excited to potentially see another Miles Amin and Aaron Brooks match because those are always super fun.
Have we ever
Um,
seen it in freestyle? I don't think we have, right?
I don't think in freestyle, no. But I'll always remember where I was when with that Big Ten championship final. That's for sure. My wife's yelling at me. I'm trying to get kids in baths and showers at the same time. I'm like, I'm not missing this. So I guess you're watching the kids now.
They're gonna stay dirty for the next 10 minutes.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
exactly. But no, it was so I'm excited for that. But yeah, Brooks is we talk about film. Brooks is going to be prepared one way or another, whether it's film preparation or whatever else he needs to do. This is not going to be his first time seeing Yazdani, but again, like you said, it's probably going to be a lot of those other people's first time seeing Brooks, and that's worse for them than it is for him.
Read.
I think my concern, and I'll throw it out there, is that is he locked in or is he overwhelmed? I guess that's my concern.
With
With
that
the things
mustache,
I mean, it should be overwhelmed. I do this because it makes my wife really angry. So anytime I shave, I just leave a mustache because I look like a creeper. My kids
Is
think
that
it,
why you're
it's
sleeping on the couch
hilarious.
tonight?
Yeah, it's right there. And she said, "Don't come to bed with that shit on your face." Got it. Check.
Smart woman.
But that's my concern, and it comes back stateside too with preparation camps for at the OTC that he wasn't necessarily wanted to be a part of, and it just feels like he has his system and he wants to do things his way. And is that going to translate to another country in his first senior level world championship event? And that's my concern with it. I mean, clearly he's talented. We know that he can beat anyone in the world. He beat David Taylor. He's accomplished. He's an age group world champion. But is that going to translate? And is he going to be able to do what he needs to do in that setting? Or is it going to be is it going to throw him off? And that's unanswered, and we won't know until he wrestles. But you see all the social media stuff. He's not taking part in anything over there with the team. So it's hard to know kind of where that's at. And from my perspective, like kind of selfishly, like you soak that in. It's the Olympics. It's once every 4 years. It may be your only chance to ever do this. Soak it up. But to not see him, being involved in any of that, it just raises some questions for me as to where he's at. Is he super locked in, or is he out of his element?
Yeah. I mean, maybe he is trying to block out the noise, right? Like there's a lot of fanfare that goes along with the Olympics, right? There's
There's a lot of
NBC,
stupid shit that goes along with it too.
yeah, there's a lot, right? Like there's a lot of stuff. So I guess because we've seen him be a champion with the system that he has locked himself into, and I mean, let's call it what it is. We've got how many guys that train with him on the team? I mean, Zane, Snyder, they're all there as well, right? So like I feel like Penn State has everyone there right now to keep him feeling like he's at home outside of the fact that he is in Paris, right? So I think for him, he really just tries to block out the rest of the noise, and he's become a very simple man at this point. Can't even call him a kid anymore. He's a simple man at this point, and that's just how he wants to keep it. So I guess time will tell on how we see him make his entrance to the mat. Is it what 2016 Burrows like, where he's looking around, which was very uncharacteristic of Jordan Burroughs? Or, you know, is it what 2012 Burroughs, who was hyper focused and was walked straight to the mat? So, I mean, not to can try to compare him to Jordan Burroughs, but those are those are the two type of outlooks we've seen from Burroughs, right? And we know how things ended up in both of those years. Just to kind of juxtapose that with what your point just was, Robbie. So I'm thinking he is super locked in. He's trying to keep like I said, the main thing, and block out the rest of the noise and just do his job, right? And he's just there to wrestle, and and he's not there for all the extras. He'll go see Paris when he's done with Paris essentially, and he's just there to make things happen right now. And then once that part of the trip is done, he can go have fun. So, I understand it, but I also understand soaking it in. This is really a once in a lifetime thing. You don't know if you're going to get back to it. So I completely get it.
How many opportunities do you have to get to wear those sweatsuits and some white Ralph Lauren pants? I mean, come on.
Listen, the gear that they got, supremely jealous. Supremely jealous of the things
yeah.
that
Not the
they
word I
got.
would use. Not the
If
word I would use.
if they got really cool stuff. Being Olympian seems really cool. Seems really awesome. Doesn't seem like a bad time whatsoever. So yeah, I'm kind of jealous of it.
Highly recommend it. If
Highly
you can do it,
recommend
go
it.
for it.
Yeah, highly recommend it, kids. Try to be
I'm
a
gonna-
friggin' Olympian.
I'm gonna try next time.
Yeah. I mean, we're still within the age. I think the cutoff is what, 42?
Oh, see,
Two
that's
more
what I'll
years.
be 43 next time.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Well,
we'll have-
Manny Pacquiao actually tried to qualify for the Olympics, but he's 45, so that's why he could not qualify for the Olympics this year in boxing.
I guess I
all
missed my
that red
window.
tape.
Yeah. So
Damn.
yeah,
My
I'm
shoulder's
sure,
sore sitting here. I can't even imagine.
I'm
Just-
I'm sure that the rest of the competition is pretty excited that Manny Pacquiao did not was not able
Yeah.
to enter the boxing Olympics. And Kyle Snyder, man, Kyle Snyder, do the thing that Kyle Snyder does. Um, and was it Nick Costco retweeted the video of him and I talking about Kyle Snyder earlier this week. We had a conversation about him after the trials, and I stick by my statement that Kyle Snyder is the most taken advantage of, and like no one, everybody takes him for granted. I feel like everybody is like, Kyle Snyder came in, he did everything that he needed to do in high school, was like, okay, I'm out of here, gonna go train at the OTC, started winning a bunch of titles on, the junior level, and, lost in the NCAA finals when people didn't expect him to. And then that same year, won a world title. And it's just been Kyle Snyder being a perennial medal collector, whether it be gold, silver, or bronze, for the last, what, almost 10 years. Even
Since
before
2015.
then, with first senior level one was in 15, but even before then, winning cadet and junior level medals, like, he just wins so much that I really think that everyone is just like, yeah, Kyle's gonna go do what Kyle does. He's gonna bring home a medal. We're gonna get a medal at 97. I say all that to say, yes, we are gonna get a medal at 97, but he should be celebrated for the fact that he has been super consistent. And I think that this time he beats Tazudinov, even though it sucks that him and Tazudinov are on the same damn side of the bracket, being seated second and third. I almost wish that they just would have sent Snyder to one more ranking tournament so that he would have that leg up and possibly get the number one seed. But I don't know how many ranking points away um, from the top seed. From who is the top seed at 97? Magomedov is the top seed. So yeah, but I don't know how many seeding points he needed to be the top seed. But Kyle Snyder has been ultra consistent, and I think he gets the job done. Um, I would have liked to see him get back at Taz as well as Sadulayev, but Sadulayev not there. Taz still there. Can get one of the two get backs that he certainly needs, even though he has beaten Sadulayev. So he does own a win over Sadulayev. So I think the Tazudinov match is one that he has had circled probably more than Sadulayev, maybe at this point. Um, but yeah, thoughts on 97 and the obviously I don't expect you guys to pick against Kyle Snyder, but what are your thoughts on how he changes this time around?
Well, it just made me think of like when you're growing up and like you have the way that you get home, whether it's like riding the bus or parents picking you up or anything, and then whenever that changes and you'll always like start to panic. Like that's what Kyle Snyder is for me. It's like my mom is supposed to get me. She always gets me. I can be confident in that that's going to happen. Where's my mom, you know? But like that's Kyle Snyder. Kyle Snyder is our mom, and he tucks us in at the end of 97 kilograms and
All
helps us
the
feel good
time.
about ourselves. Yeah. Um, so you're totally right. He should be probably celebrated more, but you know, I think he just seems to train and he lifts heavy things and puts them back down and hits low singles and ankle picks. And it's like, this is great. This is what I want to have my Kyle Snyder doing. And so I hope we can get it done, man. As far as any adjustments, I mean, I think he's just going to keep the pace high. He's going to try to figure out, I think if I remember correctly, he was giving up takedowns, just kind of almost getting extended in that match.
Mhm.
So hopefully he can figure out new ways to create some offense and set himself up without getting extended or getting, whatever he was doing to tip off, you know, that he was going to be attacking, like making those adjustments. But yeah, consistency is Kyle's middle name. Most people don't know that.
He's an ankle picking
That was Frederick.
refrigerator.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just wonder if he grew up in a different era, if he would have got a little more appreciation from the fans. I think he just maybe not overshadowed is the right word, but I just with Jordan Burroughs there, greatest ambassador for the sport we've ever seen, right? And yeah, I think there's a bigger aura around JB than there is Kyle. Like Kyle's more laid back, quiet, like you said, he just trains, lifts, and that's it. And JB has a little bit more of a personality around him. But yeah, I think Kyle is ready to go this time. And I mean, he has some of the best freaking coaches in the world in his corner still, so I think that plays a huge part. He's going to be ready. And um, yeah, I think he's going to win gold again and revenge that loss. I really hope he does.
I mean, you
This
ask what he needs to do, what he needs to change, and I think the answer is not a lot. I mean,
Mm.
he's been so wildly consistent since he stepped foot on the senior level that, the couple not gold medals he's won. He's got 2 silvers and 2 bronzes. I guess 3 if you include in Tokyo for a silver. So that's what 5 losses in the senior level in the big stage. Like there's not a lot for him to change. It's just a matter of whether he can get past, Taz in this case, who's really talented, and he's going to have his best match. And just like he did when he beat Sedulayev, he had to have his best match, and that's what it's got to be at this level.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not going to be easy, but his essentially his toughest match will come in the semifinals against Taz. And if he gets through that one, I feel like he is even more confident going into the finals than maybe any other year, right? Like, even more so than he was against Gadisov in that first year. You know, even though that was honestly magical. Like being in that stadium, like being there for that, I will never. That was my first ever wrestling world championships, and it was incredible, incredible. And I was like I was in the back as they're warming up, and they're walking right next to each other. And you're like, I am not used to seeing competitors just right next to each other warming up. I think they even kind of shot each other a look at one point and like kind of like a good luck head nod. But that was just like such a wild atmosphere to be in. And I've had the chance of just being around Kyle Snyder for such a long time to see the things that he's accomplished on the world level. I want to see I obviously want to see him win another gold. But do you guys think that this would be his last quad, or does he go another 4?
I think he would go another 4. I think that if you win it, you got to try and at least go back to the next one, right? It's not like he's my age, he's not gonna age out of the Olympics the next time, like I just found out I had, sadly.
He's got 2 more he can 2 more quads he can do before he reaches that.
Yeah.
Exactly. And so yeah, I think he would keep going. I can't imagine he's got much else that he's like waiting to do when he's done competing, you know what I mean? Like, and I'm not to say he doesn't have hobbies. I don't know, Kyle. But like you get to this level because this is what you love to do, right? I can't
Yeah.
imagine he would be like, nah, I'm gonna take this chance to go to another Olympics and just not try. Seems weird.
Honestly, who's kind of threatening him at this moment to overcome his spot, really? I mean, he's kind of been dominant on US territory for a while now, if I'm not mistaken, right? I'm sure there's some youth guys coming up, younger guys coming up to fill that
Yeah,
void, but
he beat Trumbull in the Isaac Trumbull in the Olympic team trials.
yeah, so it's, I mean, no disrespect to those guys. I think Snyder's a lot better than them, but there's no one really threatening him like Dake was with JB and like that kind of storyline there. But yeah, I think he'll give it a go. Just because I think he is the top dog and probably thinks he will be for a while until proven otherwise.
Not to get too far ahead of ourselves, but my thought is that, in that same vein, that it'll be Aaron Brooks that is the next challenger at 97.
That's
He
right.
already said
There
he's
was
going up
talks about
to
him moving up. Yeah,
he said he's going up to 92 next year for Worlds. Like 86 is just a stop for
yeah.
him
Wow.
in his, quest to be even bigger than what he is. So he'll be up at 92 next year. Zerachi will be, I guess the next guy to look at 86 along with Trent. And then Brooks is undecided on the next Olympics. But he said for at least for the next 3 years, 92 is his. He's planting his flag in 92 and saying this is going to be my weight for the next couple of years. Obviously, he has to win that weight, but like that's what he's saying. So it's bigger for him. And I don't see him coming back down to 86 in what is that? 2028. So
He
I think
doesn't lift
that's going to be the
weights.
next guy. He does lift weights. That's the funniest thing that he said. He does lift weights. He okay. I'll subscribe to the premise that he doesn't lift weights. The conversation that him and I had at NCAAs was that he lifts weights. Like, and then when I said to him, "Man, I can't believe how big you've gotten," and he was just like, the eating right and lifting weights, eating right and lifting. That's what he said to me.
Interesting.
So
He's lying to
Those
someone. I don't like
Flintstone
it.
vitamins. Take your Flintstone vitamins, you get bigger. Don't have to lift.
listen, I tell
Maybe
you
you
what,
don't.
if he's not lifting weights, I will stop lifting weights tomorrow to look like that. So, let's just get that straight right now. But no, I think he does lift weights. I think he does a lot
It's hard.
more wrestling movements than anything, but I feel like there's weight training in there.
It's hard to argue against your recently introduced evidence that he said he does.
Yeah, and that's the thing is like there was no camera in front of like I
Yeah.
wasn't interviewing. We were just shooting the shit in the hallway after he won and his NCAA title, and we were just standing there talking, and I was just like, and I like just like kind of put my hand on his shoulder, and I was like, man, like congrats, and I was like, you are built like a brick shit house, like, and he's like just eating right and lifting weights. I'm just like, all right,
Mm.
sure, a lot of broccoli. But
Flintstone vitamins. I told you.
yeah, so
They're
I
hard to
don't know.
find now, but it's what they do.
I don't know. So if he doesn't lift weights, then he doesn't lift weights. But maybe he doesn't like to lift weights. Maybe he just wants to do wrestling movements. But there's been weight training in his life. And even recently, I mean, kind of has to part of their regimen, I believe. So I
Do
don't
you
think
think
he could
maybe he
just
just wears like the wrist weights and the ankle weights while he works out?
probably,
While he drills?
Pilates. Yeah.
That's probably all it
probably.
is.
I wouldn't be surprised. I would not
Maybe
be
he wears a
surprised.
parachute with his shots.
Speaking of a man that lifts weights, Mason freaking Paris.
Mm.
That is a large individual, and they grown big in Michigan. and he is very large, but he is also an underdog here. He has been a perennial third place, I believe. So he's
Yep.
brought home bronze a couple of times, and he's got the third seed. He'll have to see Geno in the semis should he make it that far. Um, so we'll certainly see what happens, but I like his chances, honestly. I really do like his chances of meddling. Let's just put it that way. Of maybe not making it to the finals, but bringing home bronze again. I see him on the Olympic podium, and you know, I don't think. I mean, he would have to probably beat Agul to do it, since Agul is the 4 seed and on the opposite side of the bracket. I think they would most likely meet in that bronze medal match, I believe. I think that's how it goes, if I remember correctly. If they were both to lose in the semifinals. Um, but yeah, I, I like how he has continued to jump levels, and we saw it with him on the NCAA level, and now we're obviously seeing it with him here on the international level. He's been doing some really, really great work, and I guess working out with a mountain of a man like Adam Kuhn will do that. But very impressed with his ability to continue to just like ascend and beat these guys that, let's call it what it is. He may be big, but these guys are enormous in
Mhm.
this weight class. So like he's a very strong man, but he's not the tallest. He's closer to the size of Kyle Snyder than he is anything. When it comes to being a heavyweight. So what are your thoughts with him versus Geno in that semifinal? Does he get to Zari? Does that happen? Zari still the kind of the crowned prince of the weight class. And caveat, I hope we see Gable Steveson wrestle Zari at least once at some point.
That would be nice. Um, I don't know. The thing with Mason that he just continues to add to his game. He's always adding new attacks, new. I mean, again, this guy was a three-sport athlete in high school. He didn't wrestle full time until he got to Michigan, you know. And shortly thereafter, he won a junior world championship.
Yeah.
Like, so this guy's continued to add things year after year, and to continue to jump levels. So I don't have any reason to believe that he's going to show up without something new, ready to throw at people. Whether it's a new attack. For a long time, he had kind of that sweep single, like kind of fireman's dump that he used for a while. But again, he just continues to change it up. I'm sure he'll have some different turns on top. He's going to look different than he did last year. And again, last year he was a bronze medalist in the World Championships. So, do I think he can do it? Absolutely, I do. I don't have any doubt in my mind that he should be one of the more feared guys out there, even for the guys who are seated above him. So, he's got every bit of size and athleticism and skill that you need to get it done, and I'm looking forward to watching him get it done in Paris. How how uh, how perfect is that?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think you have a pretty clear separation with the top four at this weight and the rest of the field. But then you also have the separation of Zare and Mason being significantly younger than Taha and Geno. So, we already kind of saw the changing of the guard. Taha and Geno were kind of the two who have been longstanding at the top of this weight.
Mhm.
Was already kind of taken over in the last couple of years. So, what's to stop Mason from knocking those two off and being able to make it to the finals? Um, Zari is damn good, and it's going to be real difficult to beat, but he is beatable. And I think Mason could do it, but he's got to get through that old guard before he can get to the new one.
Mason pinned him in the World Championships a couple years ago.
That was what, Junior World Finals?
I think Junior World Finals. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, if anything, it's Zari with the target on Mason, but we'll certainly see how it works out. What do you guys think the total medal count will be for us across all men, women, and Greco? Um, if I think we get like 9, honestly, and then I'm not not trying to be a like super homer. I think 50, 57 for women, 68, and then 76. I think we're kind of up against it at 53 and what is it, 68, so or 62. So I think those are the two weight classes where it's not as, I shouldn't say set in stone, but we're a little bit more underdogs for the women. Um, and then just 65, as much confidence as I have in Zane, 65 has just been not pretty for us for the longest time. But I feel like I mean I think top to bottom we can get 6 medals on the men's side. I think it's possible, but I think more practical is, Spencer medals, Dake, Brooks, Snyder, and maybe Paris. So maybe not 65 and 125. I think maybe for me that's where we're a little bit up against it. So let's call it 8 medals total. In any of the Greco guys, just any of them bring home a medal. If I had my pick, it's all of them, obviously, but like Joe Rao, Kamal Bay, those guys, specifically Joe Rao, from his trials and tribulations, and then my personal friendship with Kamal, seeing that kid grow up, would love to see him on the podium as well. What are your thoughts on medal count?
I was gonna say 8.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was thinking 8. I was thinking 4 and 4 from the women's and 4 from the men's. Just you just never know what's gonna happen. You have one bad match and you're screwed. But yeah, I think 8 is a good number.
They say 1 is the loneliest number.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go 10. I'm gonna round up.
Just go 10.
Let's just go 10.
Six men, 4 for the women. Is that what we're going?
Uh, you know what?
5 and 5.
Let's throw a Greco one in there too. Let's go 11.
11 medals.
Yeah,
Oh,
why not?
The
I
man
think
takes the over.
I think I've got 8. I think 9, 10 is real possible. Anything above that, I would be very pleasantly surprised. But this is the toughest field in the world.
It's a
So
Catalina wine mixer.
Yeah,
yeah.
the Catalina wine mixer of wrestling events.
So I mean, I think 4 and 4 is pretty realistic. I think there's it's very possible we have all 6 in medal matches on both men's and women's sides. Uh, but I think 8 is a good number to shoot for.
Yeah, we're extremely deep on, when it comes to the freestyle side of things, where each one up and down the lineup, they all have, they're all world finalists. The only ones that aren't are Spencer, who has, well, at least on the senior level, Spencer, Brooks, Kennedy Blades. Only ones, well, Mason Paris, but he's got a world medal. So everyone else has a senior level world medal, and a number of these people have been in the world or Olympic finals at some point. So we're extremely deep. We're, definitely one of the teams to beat us in China, essentially, when it comes to the women's side of things. And then it's us on the men's side.
Mhm.
Sorry, yeah, Japan. But it's gonna be a fun time. Like I said, I think we're like a week out at this point. Some guys are like 2 weeks out from competing. I know Austin Gomez posted that video where he's like 12 days away. I'm like, good Lord, send a postcard or something.
Yeah, next Monday is when it kicks off. The 5th is the first day. So.
Yeah. Yep. So I will be, like I said, awake at 4 o'clock in the morning. My mom actually comes to visit this weekend and she leaves next Tuesday. So she'll have to watch some wrestling a couple of days. I'm sure she misses it so much.
Oh yeah, the whistles. I love all those whistles.
Yeah.
At least there's not vuvuzelas this time.
There will be. There certainly will be. I mean, there was chanting during, was it the basketball game? I think it was the basketball game. I think I heard some vuvuzelas and stuff that were there, but man, that honestly adds so much to the atmosphere. Like it is such an experience to be around like those foreign fans. It's so cool. It really is. USA, we're just crazy. I mean, yes, there's the USA chant, but like there's zero rhythm in any of the chants that come from the United States. Other countries, they go hard, man. They
Oh
go
yeah.
so hard with their
Some of
chants.
them have horns involved.
Yeah, there's horns,
Turn
there's
around.
drums.
Yeah.
I mean, I think we get a little crazy with the kettlebell, but besides that, or the cowbell, but like besides that, there's
Be very impressive to do that with a kettlebell.
it would deal with a kettlebell. Yeah, I mean, you get a 5 pound kettlebell out there. I think we'll be all right. But no,
Not Aaron
it's
Maybe
Brooks.
that's the weight. That's the
Yeah.
weightlifting that Aaron Brooks does.
yeah, yeah.
Kettlebell cowbells.
I'm just curious if we'll see any cool or bad when the Mongolian guy took his pants off protests.
Oh
That was
yeah.
amazing.
Anything
was
crazy like that's gonna
just
happen. I'm always
incredible.
interested on that side of
Yeah.
it too.
If there is some crazy shit that happens where a coach decides to get naked, man, God help us all. That was a wild Olympics. That was seriously wild.
I was trying to explain to my sister-in-law and my wife who were like in the other room. I go, "You're not going to believe what's happening right now. Like these Mongolians are pissed off, so they're taking all their clothes off."
It's between that and the flying squirrel that was plastered
Oh yeah,
everywhere where it
yeah.
had everybody's eyes on wrestling for a good bit of time. So you think the flying squirrel makes an appearance during like any highlight or anything?
Yeah,
Probably.
There'll be
yeah.
some
I mean,
attempts.
Coleman's wrestling there, right? Like, yeah.
No, he's not.
He's not?
He did
He didn't
not. He did
qualify.
not qualify. He made the
Oh, that's
team, but he didn't qualify.
right. Ah, bummer.
Yeah,
Okay. That's
yeah,
right. I forgot how that worked.
yeah. Sucks. But yeah, I mean, I think if he qualifies, they're playing that thing on repeat.
Yeah.
So we'll see. Um, I know we said we wanted to get to like college stuff. We won't get to the other thing. I know we've been talking for a while, but we'll give just a little bit of stuff. Austin, I want to go to you on just some highlights from your Cornell article. People should definitely go read that. But give us some of the highlights that you got from Cornell.
Yeah, so I basically just wanted to take a dive and look at their lineup this year and talk to Coach Gray about it. Um, Basically led off like, hey, you had Kyle Dake, four-timer for a while there. You had Yanni as a four-timer, Vito, world champ, two-timer, right? And all those guys are gone now. And with Coach Mike Gray kind of stepping up as the head coach now, after being assistant there, just kind of what that looks like and some new faces he's bringing up and some new guys you're going to see take over some of those accolades and multiple-time All-Americans, multiple-time national champs. And Meyer Shapiro is going to be the guy, I think. He took third, went on a heck of a run at NCAAs as a freshman. And, they got a bunch of new guys stepping in, Delegata, Ruiz coming in. And a lot of cool thing I heard was Yanni's brother, Greg Giacomalis, is going to be 125. Unger's going to move up. They have a really nice schedule coming along, too. They're going to wrestle Arizona State at Arizona State in February, which would be a nice getaway from the cold winters of Cornell.
They're not going to want to leave.
Yeah, no.
Maybe he's
Yeah.
a little nicer than Ithaca that time of year.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. And yeah, they're going to bring the Cornell body bar back, which I think is going to be cool.
Yeah, that's pretty
I think
cool.
2011 was the last year they've done that. So, yeah, so you're looking at their schedule. It's going to be released soon, but yeah, cool article. Go check it out. And yeah, good time writing it. And yeah, It was good.
As a former body bar champion, do you come back in some type of ceremonial like honor? Do you get like a robe or anything?
You
Well,
be a mascot.
it's not confirmed. It's like Final X. I have a bye to the finals. So whoever I'll be
Did you
there
meet the
stretching.
age limits for that one?
I don't know. It's an invite, so I have to double check my NCAA eligibility. But
There you
Now,
go.
question though, Kyle Dake did not wrestle on that. Is there an asterisk on on that body part?
depending on who you ask, there should be, right? Yeah, a few people that were unranked did not wrestle there, so I thankfully got to have an easier tournament there. But yeah, it depends who you ask. So we'll see. I'll have to check the record books at Drexel's, their record books and see if there's an asterisk or not.
If there is, you better bring that white out just in case.
Yeah. Yeah, they did give out like sweatshirts to the champs. It's like a bright red sweatshirt, like Cornell Body Bar Chat. I should dig that up, and I don't know if I still have it. Maybe wear it up there. It'd be fun.
That's awesome. Other things happening on the college front. One thing to look out for in the coming weeks is my interview with Coleman Scott. We sat down, talked about literally everything. Oklahoma State, coaching at Ohio RTC, the rumor mill of financial allegations that swirled around. He spoke to those as well. So be on the lookout for that to come probably in the next couple of days. And then the other little piece of news that I got that it's still mulling around in my head is AJ Ferrari possibly wrestling Division 2. And we normally don't dig into rumor mill or anything else, but this was just a little bit too much for me to keep in my head and not share with people. The text messages that I got were that he was finalizing or discussing some sort of deal to go to Upper Iowa. Obviously that would allow him to still train with Hawkeye Wrestling Club because it's like an hour 30, hour 45 away from Iowa City. And it may put him back into the good graces of the admins at Iowa. Maybe it is something that down the road we see him in a Hawkeye singlet once again and not just in recruiting pictures where he's actually out on the mat wrestling for Iowa at some point. Maybe that's something that does happen. But like I said, I've gotten some text messages and there's been some pictures that were also sent of me to me of him being there at Upper Iowa. So it is, I guess, at this point, maybe a possibility. I don't know whether or not I am truly drinking the Kool-Aid yet or not, but it is, you're saying there's a chance for him to possibly go to Upper Iowa. And I was reminded of other wrestlers that had left Iowa, went to Upper Iowa, had a really good year there, and then transferred back. So do with that piece of information what you will. But for me, like I said, we normally don't jump into the rumor mill when we're discussing things, but had to kind of dip the toe in for that one when that text message came into my phone the past week. What are your guys' thoughts on that? And how would you feel about seeing an NCAA champion at a Division 2 school? Speechless.
He's going to be a peacock. You know?
Yeah, he's something.
There's
not much more fitting mascot for him to go into. So.
Yeah. Wonder what kind of NIL deal he's getting there. Probably not as many cars as he was hoping for.
Like I said, I don't know what to make of it. Like, and there's at no point confirmation of anything. Gonna certainly push that caveat button, just letting you know what I have been told and what I have seen, and there's a chance that it could happen. Whether or not it does, don't quote me on saying that it is going to happen. I'm just letting you know what is being tossed around and what a possibility is. And like I said, the notion is go to Upper Iowa for a year, behave yourself, I guess, and maybe you come back to the Hawkeyes in a year and fill that spot at 97 since they have Glazer who's going to be there. Anyway, so I don't know. We'll certainly see. All of your faces are literally what my face looked like when I got the text message, and it was just like, all right. So
I mean, if we're being real, I mean, it is a good test for him because he's going to be more talented than a lot of those D2 guys. Obviously, not putting down D2, but he's an NCAA D1 champ.
exactly.
He's going to be way more talented. He's going to dominate a lot of guys, and if he does it with class and stay studying. I said if, Robbie. I said if. A lot of ifs here, but if he does show class and shows that he's matured, maybe he is ready back to come D1. But again, a lot of ifs, and I just don't know if it's worth it for any program right now. But maybe there is a bit of a redemption here where he can prove himself.
Yeah, and I think
I
that's in the same vein of what we said before, right? Where we were like, is Northern Colorado really a good fit? Is that somebody you want to take a chance on? So maybe it's a little bit lower profile. It's something where he can prove himself and then come back in a year to the Division 1 level if they will have him. But I feel like right now, a lot of the programs don't want him in their rooms because if they did, I'm pretty sure that there would have been an announcement by now, right? Like somebody would have said something, specifically him. He would have said, I'm going here because just based off of the one visit he took to UNC, we knew about it. So if there was somebody willing to sign him to the NIL deal he wants and to all the bells and whistles necessary, sure he would do it. So I don't know.
must be bad.
I'll be the crotch guild man. I'm just done with the circus. Like
Yeah.
it's just too much. Like it's I'm all for a redemption story, but how many chances are going to keep giving this guy, and he continues to show his ass every single time he's given an opportunity. I mean, maybe he'll change it. Maybe he'll mature and he'll stop, acting like a jackass all the time. But I don't see it happening. And the idea that a coach is going to, with these changes, we'll talk about it another time, is somebody's going to take a roster spot that's going to be, limited at some point. Somebody's going to give a roster spot to that, knowing what the possible implications are, knowing the impact that's going to have on your program as a whole, how it's going to reflect, to the outside world, what impact it's going to have on just the team itself. I don't see the value in taking that risk and ruining your program. It just doesn't make sense to me.
Agreed.
But maybe I'm a crotchety old man. I'm okay with that too.
No, I think the hindsight and the wisdom with the old man comes fluently in that statement, honestly. So with that, again, a caveat, this is just something that I was sent a text message of, and I'm like 70% believing it, based on what I was told and what I've seen. So doesn't happen. Oh well. But at no point did I go breaking news. You know what I mean? That's not what we do, until something is truly confirmed. So
yeah, and hold, I did hear that, just to finish that off. I did hear that too from another source that you don't know. So I think there is some legs to that.
Ooh, you don't know Austin's sources.
Well, that's the thing is like neither
Yeah.
neither one of the
Right.
people that Austin and I have spoken to would speak to each other.
Yeah, no way. Yeah.
You know what I mean? And like and like I don't know who Austin spoke to, and Austin doesn't know who I spoke to, like as like who they are, right? Like Austin doesn't know this person,
Yeah.
so that's why it's got a little bit of weight to it, where it's more than one person coming from different angles. So, but like I said, if it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. Whatever. It's not like we're giving you breaking news. We're just telling you what we're being told in this regard of whether or not he's coming back to wrestling, because we've seen this post or that post or people talking about this or that. These are things that came to us. But make sure you guys stick on to Intermat, because that's where all the really good content is. We're going to have more Olympic stuff. Earl's been doing a great job with the previews, giving every single piece of it. But no, I mean, shout out to the wrestling community too. They've been doing a really phenomenal job media wise with giving every nook and cranny going into the Olympics. But continue to support Team USA as well as anybody else that you love seeing. For us, it's, Darian Cruz, RBY, Austin Gomez, Sebastian Rivera, Ethan Ramos, any of the guys we had in the NCAA level, that Miles Amin, that we, are going to be at the Olympics. But yeah, that's it for now. We'll see you probably maybe after the Olympic, but maybe not after the Olympics. Maybe we'll jump back on here before that. But it's always fun, gentlemen. We'll do some stupid shit again next time, and have people pissed off.
Sounds
Great
fair.
times as always.